just ended Kizaru's entire career and proved Yonkos are stronger than Admirals. With no Conqueror's Haki, no Rio, just hands, Luffy yeets Kizaru out of the entire island. And you might be asking, how?
How, Sway?
Well, we start off the chapter with Luffy's Gear 5 giant hand spinning Kizaru around like a helicopter to then saying bye-bye. As Kizaru is shot a million miles away, the others realize that this is their opportunity to get out. Atlas is trying to go down to the lower stratum so that she can steal the command authority of the pacifistas. As even if the barriers go down, that doesn't mean they're safe to exit because they would just get shot and incinerated. But this isn't just about disabling the weapons of the enemy, since the pacifistas will be able to aid the Straw Hats in their escape against 30,000 Marines, therefore turning the tide of the battle. Oda even declares that controlling the pacifistas in this battle is the win condition for the Straw Hats. However, Vegapunk doesn't like winning, as he shows his desire of wanting to go down to the lower stratum with Atlas, despite him being the last person that should be going down there, considering that it's his life that the Marines are after. Although Vegapunk does have a good reason, as he tells Frankie that Bonney is also at the lower stratum and scolds him for letting her get kicked when he is a big adult. Why is Vegapunk acting like Bonney is a toddler who had her candy stolen? What is happening? Your Oda, explain this. Since it's Bonnie's life in danger, Sanji too decides to tag along to help an adult baddie in Bonney. Okay, keep that in mind. Sanji has barely escaped the allegations from Film Z. He wouldn't go along without fact-checking, right?
Yes, I can definitely smell
But as we get to the lower stratum, we can see the Marines being wary as Bonney has hidden herself and has turned a bunch of them into kids or elders. Wait, how the hell does she survive getting yeeted by an Admiral and getting hit with the laser barrier? Well, isn't that supposed to be lethal? Well, while she's hiding behind a rock, we see a crispy fried Sentamaru on the ground. Turns out, as Bonney was falling, he caught and eased her fall into the lower stratum. That's how she's still alive. However, this man ain't done yet, as Sentamaru stands back up, yelling at Bonney to get out while she can. Okay, how has Sentamaru not kicked the bucket yet? This is the third time this arc my guy has stood back up after taking a hit that should have been lethal. Like, he has tanked multiple light speed attacks, getting thrown to lasers, and now is dealing with the Marines. That size on him is not a joke. The plot convenience levels of dexterity aside, Sentamaru and Vegapunk are all people Bonney has been close with as a kid. They're just like her family, so seeing the Marines encircling the body of the man who saved her on the brink of death can't be easy. However, we switch perspectives back to the Labro phase, where Zoro is now fighting Lucci, a villain so strong that made Monkey D. Luffy create a whole new gear back in Enies lobby, a foe so deadly that Joy Boy had to be summoned to take care of him earlier in this arc. But Zoro tells him straight up that he is too fodder for his captain, and even for him, Lucci is light work. But Lucci ain't taking that roast lying down. He's a man who doesn't even view Luffy as an emperor, as he told us in chapter 1071. Hello? He said what? We have some breaking news, you guys. Rob Lucci has not escaped the fraud allegations. They are actually being added onto, as this dude in the matter of 20 chapters has gone from not even acknowledging Luffy as an emperor to saying that beating a number 2 ain't so bad after all.
I mean, my God! How much more can you stink?
After Lucci's fight with Luffy, he's realized that he's no longer a match for the GOAT, despite even awakening his own fruit. So he simply has no other choice but to accept reality. But Zoro does show him some respect at least, as he's using his 3 swords coated with Conqueror's Haki. However, if we're being honest here, Lucci is probably weaker than King, as he doesn't have the OP defenses of a Lunarian, which was a key factor in Zoro's struggle against his last major foe. If you have the notification bell on, you know our theory about the Neo Marines at the end of One Piece, and Lucci is a candidate to be one of the members in it, especially with his and the CP9's cover story journey of them finding themselves. They have been humanized by Oda, meaning he isn't going to die here, as the Straw Hats' main objective right now isn't to win a fight, but rather to protect Vegapunk and escape as soon as possible. Going back to Kizaru, turns out Luffy used his brain for once, and Kizaru's fall is about to drop him into the sea. However, he is an admiral for a reason, as he shoots his his Yakasaka Nino Magatama away from the sea and towards Luffy before turning a bunch of the projectiles into projections of himself. As Luffy has his eyes popping out, seeing a bunch of Kizaru clones, the Admiral conjures a lightsaber and strikes. Luckily though, Luffy dodges this attack, quickly following up with a counter. However, it doesn't work because these light projections function in a similar way to Vegapunk's hologram dragon we saw back in chapter 1062. Perhaps the Pika Pika no Mi is the inspiration behind this technology in the first place. So as Luffy is getting chased by Kizaru's holograms, he gets an idea. Instead of trying to play whack-a-mole, why doesn't he just hit them all at the same time? So after lining them all up, Luffy slams them with his armament-coated booming Dawn Stamp. This would have been a good strategy if only Kizaru was never amongst the clones to begin with, as he was instead looking for Vegapunk. As Luffy recoils from his attack, he sees Usopp getting his life choked out by Kizaru. But God Usopp is saved when Kizaru realizes his target isn't there and spots a wild Vega tank tumbling down to the lower stratum. This brings us to the question on how do we scale the Admirals to the Yonkos, because there is a lot of mixed opinions. Some of you guys actually believe that they are equal. Who thinks they're equal, bro? They are not equal. Admirals are akin to Kaido before he fought Gear 5. Basically like drunk Kaido level at least. To just give some proof about that, we don't even need to analyze each and every Admiral. We just need to use some logic. Number 1, the government with their admirals had to offset the power dynamic between the Navy and the Yonko, the incorporation of the 7 warlords. Yup, they had to work with pirate, the very people who they are against, just to survive, and they were disbanded only after Vegapunk created the Seraphims and Pacifistas. Number 2, throughout the series, there hasn't been even one admiral that went head-to-head with a Yonko on their own. For example, Akainu couldn't even game end an old, broken, and disadvantaged Whitebeard. I'm not saying he didn't do damage, but he wasn't able to finish him. Aokiji lost against Akainu, so we know where to scale him, and of course, he couldn't even beat Old Man Garp one-on-one. Green Bull didn't even want to entertain the smoke and ran away from Shanks' haki alone from 100 miles away, alright? And the argument of Green Bull shutting down King and Queen is just silly at this point, because both of them had already gotten destroyed by Zoro and Sanji respectively. Their crew was scattered, and unlike the Straw Hats, had no medical aid to get back to health so they could defend themselves against Green Bull. But what's more pressing is that in Marineford, Kizaru gave up against Shanks' crewmate Ben Beckman. Mind you, not Shanks himself. Now, of course, every one of these admirals have broken-ass devil fruits. Like, if Kizaru's light speed works the same way it does in our reality, then he should be able to nuke the planet and break it into 2, as acceleration at the speed of light will produce a ridiculous amount of force with every one of his kicks. But the reality is, he never once showcased this output. Throughout his fight against Luffy, Kizaru has been running away to complete his mission to execute Vegapunk. Luffy has been the one who is chasing him around and trying to protect everyone at the same time. Kizaru's strongest attack just sent Luffy out of the laser barriers, whereas Luffy literally shot him out of the island on top of the ocean! Kizaru had no issues in eliminating those who came in his way, like he did with Sentamaru and even Bonney. He tried it with Luffy, but we see in the chapter that he has given up. Which brings us to point number 3. Put the question to bed and explain why Yonkos are superior. Well, it's pretty much all to do with haki. Like, Luffy has yet to use his advanced Conqueror's haki during this fight. Yup, it's not that Oda forgot to draw the Black Lightning, as we see that clearly with Zoro's fight. It's just that Luffy currently doesn't need to use it. So when we bring haki into the picture, it would make more sense that the Yonko will be stronger simply because they have a stronger will. They want to reign over the seas and be free to do what they please, whereas the admirals are dogs of the government who are just following orders. Their will is not completely their own, as we see with Akainu questioning that same sentiment in the last chapter with Kuma. Meanwhile, all Stella cares about is Bonney, as he says, "I'll be damned if I stand by while a little girl gets murdered." Yep, Sanji even entered the Vega tank right as Stella says this, so bro can't claim ignorance either. He is done for. But even Luffy realizes what a stupid idea it is for Vegapunk to go outside. Like, if you need Luffy to tell you that you're reckless, then something is seriously wrong. When the greatest genius of the world does something this stupid for the sake of someone, you can tell how much he cares for Bonney. Whether it be due to his guilt of transforming Kuma into a cyborg, or due to him knowing Bonney since she was a child and seeing her grow over the years, for one reason or another, Vegapunk feels responsible for saving her. Meanwhile, Frankie takes this opportunity to jump into the Vega tank as well, while instructing Lilith to take Sunny out of there using General Frankie. But after spotting the tank, Kizaru wastes no time by firing a beam at it. However, Luffy again jumps in at light speed and eats the attack. Obviously, Luffy is utilizing his advanced observation haki to actually react at the speed of light, but Gear 5 zone enhancements not only boost his durability and strength, but also his speed. However, what's more amazing is that Luffy's entire body is a hack, because the light attack he ate literally escapes from his eyes and mouth, giving the imagery of a holy being. In fact, Luffy taking damage has been played off as a joke, where the theme of Sun God Nika and Joy Boy having the most ridiculous power is being reiterated. Going to the coast of Egghead, the Marines are getting a report that Vegapunk has finally come down from the labo phase. Edison has partially disabled the Frontier Dome and is locking it down once more, and Atlas has made it far enough to give an overriding order to the Pacifistas with a new mission to purge every last Marine on the island. The tables have turned once again. However, this has not gone unnoticed, as Gorosei Saint J. Garcia Saturn stares menacingly towards the island as if he is finally going to make his move. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other video where we explain how busted Luffy is against every single Yonko.